Hello, and welcome to this Civil Service Behaviour series video. In this series, we break down all 9 of the core behaviours that can be tested within your civil service application. On today's agenda is the behaviour seeing the big picture, and more specifically, the dreaded interview stage. We will look at what seeing the big picture actually means. Well, what your interviewer thinks it means anyway. Then we're going to deep dive into the questions you could be asked in your interview. There's 5 questions we'll look at, and we'll go over how best to answer them. Then finally, I will share with you the questions that you should be wary of, as the interviewers will try to get you to drop your guard, and this may cause you to lose precious grading points. Right, so first things first, we can't show off our abilities if we don't understand what it is we are being assessed on. The civil service defines seeing the big picture as an understanding of how your role fits and supports organisational objectives. Are you able to recognise the wider civil service priorities and ensure work is in the national interest? In the context of applying for jobs at the civil service, seeing the big picture is seeing whether you understand the broader context, goals, and objectives of the organisation, and how your specific roles fit into that larger framework. This skill is particularly important for civil servants because your work often involves complex, interconnected policies and initiatives that aim to serve the public interest. Put even more simply, seeing the big picture aims to ensure that you can appreciate how your actions impact the nation. And are you able to demonstrate all of that with examples from your experience? Not sure? Let's take a look at some of the questions that you might be asked. The first question is all about strategic thinking and whether you can align your output with the goals of the wider organization. The question is, tell me about a time you had to prioritize multiple tasks. The question tests if you can see what really matters. It's about devoting time to tasks that push the big goals forward while de-scoping or putting fewer resources into tasks that are not in the long-term vision of the organization. The interviewers want to know if you can tell what's important for the bigger picture, so you should pick a story where you saw the tasks by impact, not just by deadlines. Show how you helped achieve the big goals. Before we discuss the next question, let's drill deeper into how to answer civil service behaviour questions. These questions you're going to be asked are called competency-based questions and are designed for you to share an example from your experience with the interviewer. The answer you give should be full and detailed, yet it should also be concise and to the point. It's a paradox, I know. Basically, you should stay on point and refrain from talking about a bunch of non-important stuff. Simply stick to the important points in a well-structured manner. And the best way to do this is by using the B-star method. Using B-star, you will split your answer into 5 key parts. The first is the B, which stands for belief. You want to begin your response by sharing your thoughts and feelings regarding the subject matter. This helps set the stage for your story and demonstrate your personal connection to the topic. If this doesn't make sense, check out the show notes for examples for all the questions in this video. Next up, we have S for situation. Briefly describe the context of the scenario in which your actions took place. This provides the interviewer with an understanding of the circumstances surrounding your experience. Remember, it's essential to keep this part concise, as the primary focus should be on your actions and the results. Look at the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, why, and incorporate the relevant ones into your story. Following the situation, we have T for task. Explain your specific role and responsibilities in the situation. By doing this, you highlight what you were entrusted with in your previous roles and also lets the interviewer understand what expectations were made of you within the situation at hand. Up next, we have the most important section, and that is A for action, or activity if you prefer. Describe the steps you took to achieve the desired outcome, and explain the rationale behind your actions. This section and the results section should be the most detailed, as it illustrates exactly what you are capable of doing and achieving. And finally, we have R for the results. Conclude your response with the results of your actions, using figures or quantifiable outcomes whenever possible. This will demonstrate to the interviewer the impact of your efforts and your ability to deliver tangible results in your role. This is also where you could share any lessons you learned from the experience, should you wish. Keeping that structure in mind, let's take a look at some more questions. Okay, so here's a question on making things better. The question is, tell me about a time you improved a process or system. This question is about spotting what doesn't work all that great and making it better. Improving processes like this shows you're not just concerned with yourself, but you're thinking about the whole organization. When assessing this behavior, interviewers will be looking for your problem solving skills and your ability to see how processes and systems interact. They want to see how you can make things more efficient for everyone. Make sure you choose an example where your change made a big difference. Talk about what things were like before and then how your change helped things for after. So here's a question about dealing with change. Tell me about a time you had to adapt to a major change in an organization. This question is looking to see how flexible you are and how quickly you can align yourself to new organizational directives. The interviewer wants to see if you're adaptable and are capable of understanding the broader reasons for change. So choose an example where you positively adapted to change, demonstrated an understanding of the change's purpose, and how you supported or facilitated the transition for the betterment of the organization as a whole. Question 4 is all about challenging the status quo. Tell me about a time when you have challenged the usual way of doing things. This is kind of similar to a previous question we've looked at, but this one is more about bravery and smart ideas. They're looking for thinkers who aren't afraid to suggest better ways. The interviewers are after examples of you making a positive step. It's about improving things for the bigger goal. Pick a moment when your idea changed how things were done and make it a story about making everyone's work life better. And finally, we have a question of decision making. Tell me about a time you had to make a decision using only limited information. Sometimes you have to choose a direction without having all the facts at hand. The interviewers are looking to see whether you can weigh up options fast and smart while also keeping the big picture in mind. Share an example where you made a tough call. Talk about how it turned out, what it taught you, and how your decision helped the wider organization. And that's the last question we have for you in this video. But before we go, there's one more question type that I want to share with you that you should always be on the lookout for in your civil service interviews. And that is ungraded questions. You'll know the question is ungraded because the interviewer will tell you. These are usually quite innocuous sounding questions, like what do you like to do at the weekends, or what hobbies are you passionate about? Those type of things. You'll be told these questions are just icebreakers or that they are just there to make you feel at ease and not to worry because you won't be scored on these questions. Which in fairness is all true. But what they're not telling you is that your answers, and more specifically how you answer, is going to be used as a benchmark when assessing and grading your other answers. Remember that when grading your answers, one of the things they are looking at is how enthusiastic you are and how much you seem motivated by what you do. If you are very passionate about your weekend plans, but seemingly unenthused about your actions in previous roles, this will be noted and this will affect your overall grading. This is just something to keep in mind when answering these ungraded questions. Right, and that is the end of our video. If you enjoyed our content, please don't forget to subscribe so you can see more of our career guidance vids. If you're still nervous about your upcoming interview, check out the show notes for more resources. Don't hesitate to drop a question in the comments below and we will help in any way we can. And that is it from me. Good luck in your future applications with the civil service. Take care.